Welcome back to another episode of Out of Bounds on the Boom and Bust channel. I'm your host, Terry, and if you're a subscriber, thank you. If you're not, consider clicking the button. Thumbs up, either way. All of it helps grows the channel, and I thank you for it. So today we're talking about Kyrie Irving. I don't usually talk about basketball, and clearly this isn't really just about sports at all because it's an Out of Bounds episode. But it's something that's been very interesting. Now, I want to start off by saying I don't condone Kyrie Irving like in his thoughts and actions and all that. Honestly, like I said, it comes from the sports world. It's not like I've only heard of him because of this. I've heard of him because of the sports stuff, and that's where I know him from. So I hear things when it pops up, on the sports media. So but I don't know everything he does. I know the main things that have been highlighted. But even still, I'm not for this. Actually, this is part of the conversation. Just because I'm talking about him, just because I'm not condemning him doesn't mean I'm condoning him. And that is the problem pretty much that we're talking about with Kyrie, with Kanye, with regular people, celebrities, everyone in general, is this idea that has been around since this whole, I guess, I hate to say it because people use this and sound so stupid, but this whole woke culture on Twitter, or cancel culture, if you want to call it that, whatever it is, this call out culture, this idea that, and I said Twitter, I meant social media, but this idea that on social media, everybody has to attack everybody if they're not doing the quote unquote right thing. And part of that idea is that if you do anything, if you like or comment or whatever, something that people might see as negative, then you're part of the problem. Or if you don't come outright and condone it, or condemn it, then you're condoning it and you're part of the problem. And it's always been silly to me. It's absolutely been silly to me. And so I've talked about it before on different episodes, this idea of cancel culture and all that. But this kind of bothered me, especially when you see what happened with Kanye and Kyrie. And again, because I'm digging into the different perspectives of it, doesn't mean that I'm like Team Kanye and Team Kyrie. But so Kyrie Irving, NBA player for the Brooklyn Nets. From what I understand, I didn't follow this live when it happened, but from what I understand is he shared a link to a documentary that's on Amazon Prime that is based off a book. And this book, and obviously the documentary, are considered anti-Semitic by people in the Jewish community. Now, it's the same thing, like I've said before. You could say whatever is considered this by the black community. Doesn't mean I consider it that. Doesn't mean my friend consider it that, or my cousin, or my mom. Like, just because someone says the community, I mean, we understand that in society, we understand that term in a certain way, but unfortunately, too many people take that as literal, as every single person feels that way. And I'm not telling you that Jewish people don't feel that way. I don't know. But I'm just saying, when a blanket term, the community feels this, then people just take it as if that's gospel. So anyway, the documentary itself, from what I understand, deals with kind of what they feel like is the true history of the Semitic people, of kind of the Bible and Israel and all that stuff. And basically, I'm not sure what they were trying to say or what they were saying and any of that. And that's fine, because Because like most of the time I'm like, people who are condemning this don't even, I bet you they haven't read it or watched it. And it was like, someone was like, neither have you. And I was like, and I didn't condemn anybody. That's the point. I didn't get up and say Kyrie's terrible or Kyrie's going bad or Kyrie needs to apologize for this. I don't know what's in there. And just same way I didn't come up in there and be like, Kyrie's right. Kyrie's right. I don't know what's in there. And if Kyrie didn't watch it or read it himself, and yes, that's on him. But at the same time, the issue became Kyrie has posted this. And so people are saying by extension, he promoted it. And that was, you know, how the headlines are these days. There's no journalistic integrity. So it's like Kyrie promotes this, Kyrie does it. And now the narrative has turned into pretty much sounds like Kyrie made this documentary. So let's just say the documentary and the book are like truly anti-Semitic in a harmful way, because, and I'm talking like the most tangible, not the idea of, oh, it says information that we don't like and is considered harmful. No, I mean like it is promoting violence and hate against Jewish people. Let's just pretend that's what it is. So if Kyrie shared it because there's something in it that maybe he agreed with, or maybe he just wanted people to see it and see kind of what is being said to start a dialogue, or any other reason, how can we then turn that into Kyrie is anti-Semitic, Kyrie is trying to promote violence against Jewish people? It's silly. Like I was talking to somebody, I'm like, that's like me sharing an article about robbery in my neighborhood, and somebody saying, well, Terry's promoting robbery in the neighborhood. Terry likes the robbery in the neighborhood. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that there could be many reasons why I shared that. And so that has become the narrative. So it was kind of a back and forth of people waiting for Kyrie to kind of explain himself, which I still think is a little too much. But essentially, like he said, he was looking up his name on social media for whatever reason, and people had mentioned him and thought he would be interested in the documentary, and he thought it was interesting, so he shared it. And so I don't know if that was after he watched it or if he watched it or not. But anyway, people trying to hold him accountable for the content in it is just a little too much for me. Like, I do feel, and sometimes, you know, I kind of change my mind on this, but overall, I do feel that as somebody with a platform, in this idea that you're representing the business, that you should, you know, consider the things you disseminate on your platform. And so it's the same thing we've seen before, where people might share a book or anything, and like there's a word in there, or it was written a long time ago and now there's some language in there that's not proper, whatever. Like, I shouldn't have to apologize that it's in there, but I would say that I do need to be mindful of what I'm putting on my platform. Or you can say, I know that's in there, if you do, and say the positives outweigh the negatives, or we need to come to grips with that. Even we know it's negative, it's not true, it's still essential for us to have these conversations. Whatever your reasoning is, I do think you need to own up to that responsibility of what's on your platform. But this call that Kyrie needs to apologize, he needs to apologize. What does he need to apologize for? What does he need to apologize for? Because he shared something that somebody else made, and it has things in there that you don't like. So, but on top of that, I'm hearing people say in the media that he needs to apologize for what's in the book. Literally saying he needs to apologize for what's in that documentary. Why is he apologizing for what's in something he didn't make? I still don't understand it. And so you have, I think the Brooklyn Nets owner, the NBA commissioner, and other people are identified as Jewish people, and they feel upset. They're part of the community that does not like this particular material, and that's fine. But now we jump to him being suspended because people said he had a chance to apologize and he didn't. And it's so silly to me. It reminds me of this conversation I had, I want to say previous to the pandemic, but obviously as the whole George Floyd thing kicked off and we had these discussions, I remember talking about a lot of different places where everyone's demanding that such and such, the CEO, the president, the whoever, condemn racism. And I'm just like, what? Like, really fighting for them to condemn it publicly. And trust me, I understand why that is significant, a significant symbol. But at the same time, so what? So what if that is the easiest performative thing to do. And as humans in America, in our society, we have so often been okay with that empty gesture. So if the president of the company comes out and says, we condone racism, and then goes right back to his office to do racist practices. If Kyrie says, or I keep saying condone, we condemn racism. If Kyrie said, and then he goes home and watches it and starts spreading it to his close circle. What's the point? Did you really win? So y'all we wanted to apology. Okay, we good now. And that's the problem. We miss the whole conversation. We miss the whole crux of everything happening, looking for performative action. And so, and Kanye's situation is different. And I've said before, there's certain communities that if you talk about them, they're the right community, and the right community will shut you down. And it always bothers me how much is allowed to happen when it's about everything else. But when it's the right community, now we have to have action. We have to have repercussions. But overall, it brings up this question now that they suspended Kyrie right after they said Kyrie's going to donate, the Nets are going to match, Kyrie's done this, blah, blah, blah. And I guess that last press conference was the last straw. He didn't apologize like they wanted, and so he got suspended. And so again, it brings up this question of what is too far with the line, because it's easy to say this is a private company. They can have you represent, or they can ask you to represent them how they want because they're paying you. You work for them, and I get that and I respect that. But what is the line? Like, we know what the structure is, but as humans, what is the actual line? Because in that, in that category of thinking, they could take it as far as they want to. I mean, we know that the NBA and the NFL has jumped on to a lot of the social movements, but the NFL showed really quickly that they wanted to shut that down fast. And so what if they continued down that path and said, no, we don't care that you believe black people are equal. We don't want to hear you talk about it. We don't want to hear you talk about this cause. We don't want to hear you talk about that cause. We don't want to hear anything of that nature. And it doesn't even have to be that obtuse. What if it's something small that the person believes? Like, I'm pretty sure there's plenty of Christian players that believe same-sex marriage is the only acceptable marriage. So you're going to tell them they can't believe that? Now, we know that they really don't care what you believe. It's what you put out. And so how much of your own personality do you have to sacrifice, or should you be asked to sacrifice for a private company? And I know there's going to be many people going to be like, well, you're getting paid a lot of money, or even if you're not getting paid a lot, let's just say it's one of us working at McDonald's. They're going to say, well, don't work there. If you want to be free to talk, then don't work there. And I get that. That's a very, again, easy way to look at it. That's the structure of it. But again, as humans, what's the line? So now he's being suspended. And we can't even say for a view, because Kyrie didn't really tell us what he feels about it. he might agree with all of it. He might agree with none of it. I think someone mentioned that he said there's stuff in there he don't agree with. But either way, it's his view. Like, I completely understand shutting down violence. Like I said, the tangible violence and things of that nature. Anything that's promoting that. But outside of that, if that's what they believe, like Kyrie believes in the flat earth, okay. If someone came out and said that they believe dinosaurs didn't exist, so now they can be suspended for that because you don't want that being put out there. The line to me is important because we have to be able to be ourselves to an extent where we're not harming anybody else. And I don't know that you have to sell that because of the organization. Now, we know there's some sacrifice, but again, as players, as owners, as the NBA, as the NFL, as fans, we got to ask ourselves as humans, what is that line that we're willing for people to be shut up? Whether you agree with what they're talking about or not, is that really the precedence we're trying to set, that we're going to fire you or suspend you because you have beliefs that are different than ours, that aren't, causing violence, harm, discrimination, anything of that nature? And again, I don't know what's in there, but from what everybody has talked about, and then not even, and again, it doesn't even really matter what's in there because it goes back to the point that Kyrie didn't promote everything in it. And so this idea that people have said, because you liked it or you retweeted it or you shared it, that you promote everything in it is so silly. It makes no sense. And so I just think it's interesting how the reaction is one way for the right community, but it's very different for other communities. And I think I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's such an injustice that Kyrie Irving can't play basketball. But what I am saying is we have to think about these concepts of condone, condemn, which draws a binary, or creates a binary where either you do all of it or you do none of it. It's just so silly, and it makes no room for nuance, and it makes no sense. It doesn't allow us to have any type of real conversation. And so this popped up obviously in the sports world, but I think important to our actual world, that we got to think about these conversations, because if you just blanket, again, most of these media people I'm sure have not even read, watched, or heard of it until this, and they're just, oh no, we don't like it, Kyrie was wrong, he condemned. Like, you don't even know what's in it. How are you condemning something you don't even know what's in it? You just heard people say, well, we think it's anti-Semitic. Okay, we agree with you, we condemn it. Like, bro, you're not even thinking for yourself. And so if you haven't seen it, how are you condemning Kyrie Irving for something? And then people talking as if they know what is in it. People talking, he said this, or he's pushing this narrative. How do you know? You don't even know what's in it, or why they explained it the way they did. Again, people might take it a certain way and say it's anti-Semitic, but it might not be. It might not be to you when you watch it from your point of view. All y'all doing is just going along to get along. So I just brought this up because I thought it asks an interesting question of, A, what's the line that people should be censored in their thoughts and opinions when representing these large corporations? And the other question, or not really a question, but the concept is, just because you disseminate something does not mean that you are held responsible for everything in that material unless you made that material. And we really need to get past this black and white thing. So as far as yes, no, in, out, condemn, condone, we got to get away from that. So anyway, that's it for me. Go down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Share around, get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you for going out of bounds.